Hi, everybody. Welcome to Creative Courage with Raffi. I'm going to go ahead and do little drawing lessons, basic drawing lessons here, and show you my personal technique and how I do my drawings. So today, I'm going to do just a random sketch here. And I start with a blue pencil, usually. That way I can sketch out an idea. And I can lay the ink over it as I'm doing it later, because when you photocopy it, the only thing that gets red is the black ink and you don't see the blue. And it's this technique that I used to do with paper and pencil, and I still carry it onto the computer. So right now I'm using Photoshop, and I do layers, and I do a layer of blue and I do a layer of black. So what I'm drawing here today is totally a random sketch of something, and I figured I would draw an alien the last second. So the fun thing about an alien is you could pretty much do anything you want and play around with it quite a bit. So I've created this kind of basic structure of an alien with a bit of an attitude, and the head was something to be figured out, but I wanted kind of a horn-like face and a strange looking crooked neck that this head shape fit on it. And I'm going to my traditional pear-shaped body. I don't know why I always go back to that. I just like it because I think they look funny. And then I was going to put maybe duck-like feet or something. And then I realized I didn't have eyes, so I'm going to add eye here and here at the top, and put it on some kind of a stock, kind of like a, I don't know, like it's on a stem of some kind. And I figured I would add a nose over the big horn-like face. So once you start kind of putting together a basic structure of this thing, and you could see that I'm being very sloppy about it. It's not even important because right now we're just kind of testing out what we're going to do. And this is where you make your mistakes, or most of your mistakes. And don't be. And this is good because you don't have to be afraid of making mistakes, because we're all naturally afraid of making mistakes when we're drawing, and it hinders the process very much. So this way we can explore, make all the mistakes we want, play around, and see if we can come up with something. I'm a professional mistake maker, so that's why I'm going kind of fast. It's because I'm used to doing that. I'm a pro at making mistakes. So anyway, I thought it'd be funny, put some funny, because you wouldn't picture an alien with these kinds of silly shoes on, so that's why I kind of did that. So now it'd be good to go ahead and go in and maybe start prepping to do the ink part or the black part. And of course I don't use ink anymore because I do it on the computer. So let's go ahead and zoom in and see if we can go ahead and get started on doing some of the structure here in black. So we're going to start at the horn-like nose portion here, I think. Probably be the best place to start. So get that shape going. This is when you start to really kind of commit to a shape. Hopefully those sketches helped you visualize it better. So through the sketch, you can actually start seeing what the evolution of what it is you want to do. And you can start building on that. So I figured there'd be a big opening here, and it wouldn't be perfectly round, because I thought it'd be interesting, because it would look like he's actually moving it and shaping it in some kind of way, like he's trying to say something. And if it's a hole, then you want to go ahead and realize that the inside of it would be darker than and get lighter as you get closer to the opening. So you do these kind of lines to represent the shading. I'm not shading this one, I'm just doing solid lines. So in lieu of doing shading and colors, you use these lines to kind of indicate the gradual shading of something, as opposed to using, a gradient or something like that in your paints. So anyway, so you go ahead and structure this stuff. You go ahead and add, we're going to go ahead and add like a nose at the top, because that's what I decided. I want to add a nose, so I'm going to try to make it as nose-like as possible, even adding the little crease that we add next to the nose. And then even maybe the arch of the nose, and add a cheek on it. So we'll add the cheek on both sides. And get a little bit of a structure of some kind of a familiar part of it, as a familiar face on this thing, even though it's totally ridiculous looking. If we add things that are familiar to people, it adds a little bit to the personality of this thing. You can start actually imagine it actually moving, because it has familiar parts to it. And then we have to connect these parts in a way that's realistic. So you kind of show the connections where they get thicker at the base of it and thinner as it grows up to the top. So that's what you want to do as you go ahead and do it. And since we're going to make the eye at the top, we don't want to make it a perfectly round eye. The eyeball sits as it does in your face. The ball is actually inside under the eyelid, and you don't actually see the ball, but you have to realize the ball is in there. So it's almost like a thing that's holding the ball. And you structure the eyeball as you would any eye, But since it's black and white, solid colors, you add just a little gleam in it, and then you get the impression of the eye. Maybe even add some creases and folds in it and some lashes. So, then we move on to just adding more portions of this, like maybe continue on from the head and the connections of the head. You're going to go ahead and start working on the neck and building across the neck and following the shapes that you kind of suggested with your blue, and connect them to the rest of the body. And then we're kind of building like a bit of a uniform on this guy. He's got that kind of uniform shirt on, like he's official in some way, shape, or form. Maybe he's the captain of his vessel or something. So we gave him kind of a sharp shoulders and a strange little vest. Kind of uncomfortable looking on his body. So we're going to also add some metals because we're starting to tell a story with this thing. Because as you're drawing, you're getting curious about this guy, and you're starting to build a personality around the drawing as you go. You don't need the idea before you draw. The drawing itself can inspire the idea. That's kind of what is fun about drawing these kinds of characters or cartooning, is that you can let the drawing inspire you as you grow through it. So you're building the pants, and you wrap it around the body. The structure of the pants, the folds and everything, you have to make sure they kind of wrap around the body a bit. We got these skinny arms at the top too. I kind of see him as kind of maybe linky, kind of sinewy. I don't know, something way too small for the awkward position of his head. And so I'm going to kind of build these kind of bony little arms with little hands that are standing defiantly in front of something. Looks like lecturing something in front of him. And so you build these kinds of these shapes, the arms and everything in there, and the fists, this kind of squarish fist to indicate, strength, in him. And build it obviously from off of the shoulders. And then you kind of get the angle also. You have to consider the angle on these things when you're looking at them. Make sure that everything is facing in the direction that you want it to. And then you just build these folds around, for the pants, because he almost like his pants don't fit him very well. And you wonder exactly who this guy is, and with these silly shoes that you've decided to put on him. And you'd think that aliens would have more futuristic shoes, but it is possible that they've evolved past the need for fashion, and now it's just basically something that they do to indicate rank or something. So maybe that's what's going on in his space armada. These shoes are incredibly important. These are captain's shoes. They indicate, the little points at the top indicate, maybe the bigger the points, the higher the rank. You see, these these are the kinds of silly things you think about while you're doing these silly cartoons. But you add like a belt and things to make it official. The belly button is incredibly important to add on there because it's another thing that humanizes the character a little bit. And knee pads. I added knee pads just basically because why not? Just add some knee pads. So we've kind of built this kind of this character now. He looks pretty much full enough to where we can work with it, and then we just start adding some little nuanced details on it as we go. Touch up here, touch up there. We can remove the blue so you can see what it'll look like. And again, since we're not using any shading or gray or gradient, we start touching it up with little lines here and there, adding some texture with the lines and indicating the curvature of the portions that we're trying to show. So you're not just this two-dimensional flat thing. You add these little lines to give it a little bit of depth. Stuff like that is really adds a lot to the piece and makes it pop a little bit better. You add a lot to it. You can even add a little bit of ground on there too. Just like you could add some, not like grass, but some textures around the feet, because it plants the character down on the floor. Yeah, it gives them some, like a base to kind of be standing on, and it adds a little bit to it also. You don't have to do the full background. It can be suggested. You could draw a full background, but if you're just playing around with a character and the structure of a character here, it's fun to go ahead and just play with that. So so I've illustrated a strange alien, how to draw a peculiar alien. That's what I'm going to call this video. How to draw a peculiar alien. Hopefully yours is just as peculiar. Alright, thanks a lot. I'll see you guys next week. Oh, and keep drawing, and try to have a lot of fun doing it. You can learn a lot about yourself